Welcome to Seasoned. I'm Marisol Castro.
And I'm Chef Plum. Marisol, I'm so happy to see you in person.
It's the that only means one thing. It's the last Thursday of the month.
Absolutely. And we can't wait. We have a fantastic show, Marisol. Love is in the air this week on Seasoned, and we're helping you get ready for Valentine's Day on this week's live show.
Yes.
It's devoted to love, food, and date night.
And I have to be honest with you. If you and I were on a date right now, I would not be able to take my eyes off of your fuchsia hair.
It's not bad.
Listeners, it only gets better. I know you can't physically see it, but trust me when I tell you, this hair is lit,
you
as
are
the kids
hysterical.
say. So we are in New Haven at our studio, Gateway Community College, and we want to know where your favorite romantic restaurants are in the state. Shout out a local spot that makes your heart skip a beat. The number to call to talk to us is 203-776-9677, 203-776-9677. I was going to say WNPR.
You could do both.
You could do it. Yeah.
It works the same way. Yeah, it works the same way.
Left side, right side of the brain. Tell our friends who's joining us today.
Well, I'll tell you, I wasn't sure about this show, right? I wasn't sure how it goes, but food and love definitely go hand in hand.
It's like, hello.
Absolutely.
Peas in a pod.
Yeah, for sure. But, like food. Do we want to talk about love? Do we want to talk about food? Do we talk about it on the radio? Is it interesting?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, our guests for sure have helped make that interesting. Our guests for the hour are experts at pulling off date night at home. Husband and wife content creators and YouTube stars Ned and Ariel Fulmer are the hosts of the online cooking show Date Night. And they're the authors of the Date Night Cookbook, which, by the way, is a pretty cool book. I was thumbing through it. Ned and Ariel are joining us from Los Angeles, where they live with their two little boys, Wes and Finn. And if these two can manage a date night every week, anyone can. Ned and Ariel Fulmer, welcome to Seasoned.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
We're excited to talk to you guys. And I'll tell you what, I have 3 daughters on my own, and date night is definitely something difficult to come by.
Oh, yeah.
It sure is. Take some coordination. Take some effort.
I love it.
Teams help, though.
Yeah.
We try and do it every Wednesday.
That's your date night, Wednesday.
A weeknight.
Wednesday, I know. Well, it's in the middle of the week when you need it the most.
Okay. That actually makes sense.
I
have so many questions. I'm actually holding, first of all, lovely to meet you. I'm so glad you're doing this with us. I'm holding up your cookbook, the Date Night Cookbook. You two look absolutely perfect. There is some sort of fabulous charcuterie board. What is that, rosé they're drinking? Look, it's like a white.
Yeah, look at that, huh?
Yeah, it probably is white wine.
Ariel and I love a good oaky chard.
Yeah, we're
nice California Chardonnay. Keep it basic.
I'm a Chardonnay drinker.
Yeah.
It's probably Chardonnay.
Ariel sees Sauvignon Blanc and she walks right out the door.
Really?
That's interesting.
It's true.
Well,
it's so true.
Before we dig into the book a little bit, I want to start by hearing a little bit about your own love story. I mean, we read that cooking together is your love language. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah,
it absolutely is. We met in Chicago over 10 years ago. We met through a mutual friend, and cooking together has definitely been a part of our love story. We moved in together pretty rapidly, I would say, after dating for only about 4 months.
Yeah, we met in December, moved in together in April, and then Ned proposed in September.
You guys weren't wasting time. You weren't wasting time.
We were not wasting time.
I like this.
No.
I like this.
We joke that when you know, you know. And we knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, food has sort of been this like through line throughout the whole thing. When we moved into our first apartment together, before we even thought about bringing in our furniture or anything like that, we ate sushi on the floor. And, all of our dates, I remember just every single thing that we ate.
Yeah. Our very first date, we had a plan of going to a comedy show afterwards, but we just ended up spending 2-3 hours at dinner, just having a great time talking and sharing food. And, we skipped the show. Didn't even need to go.
That must have been a good meal. What was that first meal? Do you remember?
It was
Thai.
Yeah, simple. A place called Cozy Noodle in Chicago. Very hole in the wall neighborhood Thai place, but it's so cute and has a lot of kitschy kind of figurines on the walls funny Americana. little toys.
We love a good hole in the wall restaurant.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
That place was pretty special.
Now, I have been known to judge my dates based on what they eat.
You know.
I also judge people
Tell
on
me
their
more.
I also judge people on their grammar, but here we are. So I just want to know, Ariel, when Ned ordered, were you aghast? Were you like, oh, interesting? Or were you like, oh my gosh, be still my beating heart?
You know what honestly kind of won me over was Ned asked me immediately to share with him. He was like, well, I think that we should like share 2 dishes, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, you already know me. Like, obviously I can't just choose one. I need to have a little bit of yours and a little bit of mine so that we can have 2 dishes together. It was pretty magical. We had yellow curry chicken and pad see ew.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, wait a minute. So
they sound like they just met. They've been together for 10 years,
what are
and
we
it's
doing?
literally like they just met.
If we go to a restaurant, my wife's like, "Oh, maybe we could share something." I'm like, "No, we can't. You can get your own plate of food. I'm eating my dinner. You order your dinner. We don't need to share dinners here." Oh my gosh.
See, I know a lot of people like that, but I am a huge sharer, and Ned is too.
Absolutely.
It's just one of those things
Get
that
more
really
flavors.
Yeah,
I can't just eat one dish. I want to eat everybody's dish.
I
Just make
agree.
every meal into a buffet.
Well, let's not get crazy, Ned. Let's not get crazy. I'm with
Just
them
watch
though,
out. When we
Plum.
order Indian food, we order like 5 dishes, and then we have leftovers for days, and we
true.
think, well, why did we order that much?
Well, that's good, because then it means you don't have to cook.
That's right. That's right.
Listeners, if cooking is your love language too, please call us. The phone lines are open, 203-776-9677. Give us a short version of your love story, especially if it involves food. Shout out your favorite, most romantical spot in this here nutmeg state. The phone lines are open.
I want to share with you my story. Like, my wife and I have been together, and Ned and Ariel, I wanted you guys to hear this too. We've been together since 1998. Yes.
I'm still wondering
Why?
why she picked him. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Oh, that makes me feel great about myself. Appreciate that. Thank you. My wife's a 10. I'm a 4.5. But I was working a grill in a restaurant in Richmond, Virginia. I had hair down to my waist. I was wearing eye makeup and a cutoff shirt. I was the best grill cook in the building. And it was a Friday night, and they brought in all the new servers to meet the staff and see how busy it was on a Friday night. And my name is Plum. I go by Plum, just like the fruit. And they brought this group of new servers back there, and I said, well, this is Plum. He's on the grill. And meanwhile, I've got 30 steaks on the grill, lobster tails, chicken. I'm busy. It's got a lot going on. And my, at the time, new server, soon-to-be wife, looked at me in the middle of the service and goes, wait, your name is Plum? And I said, yes, like the fruit. I used a couple of colorful expletives there and adjectives. Is that okay? And she said it was love at first sight.
It was love at first Plum.
That's all it took. That's all. And then I proceeded to
That's so
invite her.
sweet.
Well, I invited her over the house for dinner. I said, what do you like? She's like, I would love a shrimp and a cream sauce. I'm really into that. I said, great. I'd be happy to make that for you. Come to my house on a Wednesday. I'll make this dish for you.
You see?
And she said, unbelievable. I can't wait. She got very excited. And then immediately, because she's incredibly attractive, I turned around and said, hey, everybody, I'm making dinner at my house Wednesday. Why don't you guys all come over and we'll have a big dinner? And then, of course, I told them not
You
to
were
come.
so nervous.
He was so
Absolutely.
nervous.
Absolutely. But
Aw.
I love that she knew exactly what she wanted you to make for her.
yeah, right. Well, shrimp is one of those foods that when you go on and have a date night, it's a really easy one to start with because it's so easy to cook.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless you
Can't really undercook shrimp.
I mean, you
Wait.
could,
Yeah.
but it would be terrible.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Well, the book is structured around recipes that you'd make for every stage of a relationship. And I mean, we'd love to see, the early drafts of that outline, of course. I'm sure it's hysterical and what the thought process was. But talk about some of the chapters, attraction, dating, commitment, things like that, and how food relates to those.
Yeah, so we did a really cool thing. Instead of structuring it by appetizers, mains, desserts, we included all that as an index and then structured it as the story of a relationship. So the first chapter is when you're single, looking to mingle, have some icebreakers,
Right.
like
Maybe
icebreaker
some-
margaritas.
Maybe some first date dishes, like some hero proteins, easy pastas and things like that. Stuff that you might make for like 2 people.
And stuff that is a little easier to execute if you are a little younger and
Yes.
less experienced as a chef.
Yes, maybe working in a small kitchen, something like that.
Then moving on to dating, some more shareable things where you're meeting each other's friends. You're maybe hosting a party together.
Maybe a movie night or something like that. Yeah, so we've got some shareables. And then, of course, no relationship comes without a little bit of friction.
Oh.
So
Yes.
chapter 3.
Yes, chapter 3 is the disappointment chapter. Could
Okay,
be
hold
a
on. Wait.
full-on breakup.
Back it up. Before we get to disappointment. So
Yeah.
I'm on page 23.
Okay.
For those of you following along at home.
Right.
Of the Date Night Cookbook. I highly encourage you to look at this because it is really adorable. There are 3 pictures of you. One is a
Yes.
homemade
Yes.
pasta situation to fulfill your Lady and the Tramp dreams.
Oh, nice.
Then the 2 of you springtime in Chicago, and then a date at medieval times. They're both wearing crowns, by the way.
Medieval times. It was a date?
That was a date?
That was
Who
Yeah, it was a
decided
silly-
It was a date.
a silly evening.
who decided, babe, we're going to medieval times? Was it you, Ned, or you, Ariel?
Definitely not.
Definitely me.
Although I grew up riding horses, so I was like, I really want to see the horses.
It's pretty mutual. We share a love of fantasy, adventure,
Yes.
Lord of the Rings,
We're-
all sorts of
We're
things.
both uber nerds.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are in New Haven right now. That's Ned's alma mater, is Yale.
Eli, yeah,
And,
Bulldogs, Bulldogs.
Nice.
Wow, wow, wow. Very
Woo.
nice.
Woo-hoo. But yeah, huge nerds over here. So we just ate it up. We loved the whole story at medieval times.
I think this was either driving back from or on the way to our first Valentine's Day together, where we had spent it in a cabin in Wisconsin, because medieval times in Chicago is on the way to Wisconsin.
Yes, it's
And
out
they
of the
had
city.
a super extra Valentine's Day package that we were like, yeah, we'll have the Valentine's Day package, please.
I
So
think
you had gave
think
you
I'm
a
hung
little
up on
fake
the,
rose.
I'm hung up on the going out on a date to medieval times. I mean, nothing says love and a great first date like sharing one of those giant turkey legs next to somebody.
Yeah, totally.
In a goblet.
Like
Yeah, in a goblet.
A mug of mead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
That's hysterical.
really kind of connect to what dating was like 600 years ago.
Well, I want to talk about the stability chapter really quick because there's a sage butter roast chicken dish in there that looks fantastic.
Sure.
And, I don't know, if I made someone or someone made that roast chicken for me during our dating stage, I mean, does that mean we've moved right to the commitment stage then?
I think that's a really good question.
So it's
We made a lot of whole chickens
It's a great
when we
dinner.
were like first dating.
a very cozy dish.
It's so cozy
It
and
screams
it's
like
so cheap.
weeknight sweatpants
Yeah.
to me, because it's like you stick it in the oven, you have a lot of time to chill together,
Yeah.
and our recipe, we like to stuff sage leaves underneath the skin, and we kind of do this nice sage butter rub on the outside and spatchcock it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think
spatchcocking,
that's
if people
really
don't know,
the-
that means you take that backbone out of it and kind of lay the entire chicken flat as you cook it.
Ned
Yeah,
and
It
Ariel,
seems
And it
like
really-
overwhelming, but it's super easy. Just
Yeah.
snip, snip.
And it makes it look beautiful.
it is beautiful. You open it like a book.
Mm.
I want to get into both of your culinary backgrounds, but first we have to take a quick break. But listeners, it's your turn. Call us live. Plum and I, Gateway Studio, New Haven. The phone lines are open 203-776-9677. You're listening to Seasoned. Marisol Castro, Chef Plum. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Seasons. I'm Marisol Castro.
And I'm Chef Plum.
We are live this week talking with Ned and Ariel Fulmer. They've been having date night at home for more than 10 years. They're also the authors of the Date Night Cookbook.
And if your idea of a date involves wearing buttons and button-up shirts and hard pants or leaving the house, share your date night spot with us. We'd love to hear it. Or where is your local spot you'd like to go? You know, give us a call. Let us know. We want to talk about it. 203-776-9677. That's 203-776, if you like letters, WNPR. We want to hear all about your spot. Now, Listen, Ariel, I got to ask you guys, cocktails are such a great way to get the night started. I mean, it's a great, icebreaker, get things pushed off. What are we having? Do you think a cocktail, number one, what do you recommend would be a great, icebreaker date night cocktail? And number two, if someone brings you a cocktail, can you tell a lot about the date and how it's going to go based on what that cocktail is?
Ooh, yeah, actually. What's your favorite icebreaker cocktail?
We have a spicy jalapeno margarita in the book, which I really like as
That's
an
a classic.
icebreaker
That's
because it
great.
gets you talking about your different spice tolerances and spice levels. I like spicy food so much you could say that I like bad ideas. I like doing it a little too extra, so I'm in physical pain both the night
Oh
of
my
and the day
gosh.
after.
Wow.
But that's just a little something about me that a first date could learn, and I think if Ariel had found that out on my first date,
Things might have gone a little differently.
things would have gone a little differently.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But I think that's a great one. Is something that can get you talking about different flavors, whether it's spice or something else.
Yeah, actually, Ned loves pink cocktails.
That's true.
I think it has more to do with flavor than color. But
Sure.
whenever we're ordering cocktails, his always arrives and it's pink,
Mhm.
no matter what you've ordered. I know. It's
Yeah.
like Ned just is a pink cocktail
You
person.
know, sometimes I'm just a classy B.
What? Wow.
I like a pink cocktail. I like a
Sure.
spicy jalapeno margarita. I'm curious to know, since you guys have sort of built, not sort of, but you've built this world around how you met and your love of food, what are your respective backgrounds when it comes to food?
We do not have professional cooking backgrounds. I grew up in a family that loved cooking. My dad is an excellent baker. And my mom makes the most interesting things with leftovers. Ned is laughing at me right now because she's always making the craziest cream sauces and things like that. But they had the basics down and kind of taught me how a roux worked and how to make a stock and that sort of thing. And so having that solid background of how to cook kind of brought me into this, relationship that I started with Ned, and the two of us really kind of grew together. We started making our own dishes and coming up with our own recipes, just as something that was fun to do together. And that's sort of where our love of cooking has grown.
And then we started making content around it, which is our show Date Night has been an awesome way to, the premise of the show is to try and recreate a chef's restaurant quality meal at home using your own ingredients, your own home kitchen apparatus. And it's been a really awesome way to learn some professional techniques, to learn some tricks of how you can get something professional even at home. And of course, not everything is possible. Sometimes you need a blowtorch or you need an oven that can get really hot. But it's a cool way to learn over time. And to also teach our audience new techniques.
Well, now that we've been doing it for a few years, we're having to the dishes that we have to make have to get bigger and more intricate because Ned and I are actually becoming better cooks.
Look at you.
How about that?
Repetition.
I know.
Well, listen, you guys, we've got Jamie on line one. She wants to tell us a little bit about her first date, and maybe she had some apparatus that she used, like Ned said. Jamie, welcome to Seasoned.
Hi, thank you. I do not have apparatus.
Oh, hang up on it. This is boring. No, I'm kidding. I can't wait to hear it.
Sorry to disappoint. Yes, I was identifying with your guest speakers because, their love story really, was reflective of my own. 22 years ago, I had what I call the interview. The kids love to joke about it now, but basically our first date, I invited my husband to a Mexican restaurant because I knew that if he wasn't into spicy food, we would never vibe. So it was kind of that was step one of the interview. And we spent the entire night quizzing one another on absolutely everything while eating.
Wow.
In continued rounds beyond the restaurant. And our love for food has kind of carried throughout. And I love what they just said about just finding that time in the kitchen together and using it to kind of keep that romance going. We loved exploring new recipes, making them our own, developing our own recipes. And I just love working in the kitchen together. I can't say that the same carries over into like home chores or, home repairs. Typically, we keep our own zones there because it causes problems. But in the kitchen, it's so cohesive and really does bring that passion for food, passion for flavor, and love for one another.
So what's the favorite thing that you two make together? I love this love story, Jamie.
He is a great sous chef. He does a lot of the prep work, and oh my gosh, the way that he breaks down and preps vegetables, in particular raw vegetables, is so pretty. He makes really genuinely pretty food, whereas I'm just like, let's get this done. And I'm really focused on the flavor, but the presentation is all him. And our favorite thing to make together is like sushi rolls. It's just a really fun, creative thing, and we used to get the kids involved, and now they're all into it, and it's just something like really super fresh, and I found that we could always pack it up and go if we had after-school activities and needed a carpool, and still kind of have a home family dinner, not at home.
Wow, Jamie, maybe you should get a YouTube channel too. You got a whole great story here and some amazing things. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Ariel, Ned, let me ask you guys. So Jamie was talking about that kind of interview stage, and whether if he's not going to have spicy food, it just won't work. And to me, this is that whole, Ned, maybe you can help me here. It's that whole magic that women have. There's a whole book that we apparently have never seen. That there's the set things that they do. I mean, did you guys go through that kind of phase as well?
Yeah, I'd love to know the interview questions ahead of time.
Right.
Well,
if there's a quiz, I'd like to know what chapters it's going to be
Thank
on.
you.
One of the ways that we learned about each other was one of our very early on dates. We went to a fancy Italian restaurant. We both love Italian food. And I ordered a 1 pound meatball. So I thought it was going to be this fun thing.
On a
we
date?
could share it, eat
Deal.
for a date. Yeah. Because that'd be kind of hilarious, right? We share this meatball together. And then I found out, as the course of this date, that Ariel does not eat red meat or pork.
Oh.
And
Nice move.
now I'm holding down this 1 pound meatball all by myself.
Yep.
Wow.
Trying to see, am I trying to prove my bravado by eating this whole thing, or how is this going to go? But yeah, you never know what you're going to learn about your partner.
I don't know,
Yeah.
Ned. The
You had
1
to
pound
make some quick
meatball might not have
decisions.
been my choice. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got
Yeah,
Lauren online.
yeah.
Lauren online too has a great date spot in New Milford. She wants us to check out. Lauren, welcome to Seasoned.
Oh, yeah, hi. My husband and I usually, when we are going out for something special, we head to Lucia's in New Milford on Bank Street.
Great restaurant.
Oh.
I've been there. Fantastic restaurant.
Oh, it's a wonderful restaurant. Wonderful, wonderful restaurant. And the thing is that one of the food things about him and myself is the fact that neither one of us are afraid of trying anything new.
Mm.
If it's we've never eaten that, let's try that. And so, and we share, of course. But Lucia's it's got everything. It's got the atmosphere. It's got great service. It's got a great wine list, and that's where we go.
I mean, that checks all the boxes for me. I want to hear from you guys out there. Give us a call here, 203-776-9677. What makes a good date restaurant?
Yes.
Give us a shout. Let us know. The number's 203-776-9677.
Ned and Ariel, this is fantastic. Ariel, we heard about your culinary background. Ned, what was in your wheelhouse in terms of food before you met Ariel?
And
What
giant meatballs.
Yeah, what were you making?
Totally. Well, my family is Italian, so that's kind of where my love of cooking came from, cooking with my mom growing up. And it's pretty good because both me and Ariel, we love pasta.
We do love
Seriously,
pasta.
could eat it every meal of the day. But I think things that I'm particularly passionate about is baking. I love baking sourdough. Have a little sourdough starter at home called Sven. And I love kind of those big family gatherings and manning the grill and kind of learning different techniques of kind of barbecue and smoking and
If Ned could do a Sunday roast every week,
I
he
know.
would just be a
Well,
happy
what
man.
goes into this Sunday roast, and where do we find it in the cookbook?
I mean, honestly, since we live in Los Angeles, the Sunday roast is more like a Sunday barbecue. And so we're usually making something on the barbecue. Although recently Ned got a pizza oven.
Yeah, definitely been getting into the pizzas lately. Those are really fun and great for dates too, because they are really collaborative, really communal. You know, you can talk about what different toppings you want. Maybe you'll make like, oh, this half's going to be all the things you like. This half's going to be all things I like. And
Right.
maybe we'll share on some of them.
Try roasting your chicken in there too. It's fantastic.
Oh yes, I gotta try that.
You have to try that.
We've really only scratched the surface with pizzas. It was a recent Christmas present, so I haven't gotten into the steaks yet. But we have a pecan stuffed pork loin that is a really good roast recipe in the book. With a little bit of mustard and pecans, kind of.
Well, that sounds amazing. Now, see,
pound out the pork loin, roll it up.
All relationships have their ups and downs, and we need to cook through downs as well as celebrating those ups. Talk to us about the chapter disappointments. I mean, sometimes you need to say, I'm sorry, with a nice flourless chocolate cake or maybe a creme brulee, or in my house, it's homemade donuts.
Love a homemade donut.
Donut works. Yeah. Those nights when you don't really feel like turning on the oven because there's already so much heat between you. It's sort of one of those times when we like to break out either the salad or some sort of egg dish, because eggs are, I could eat like 10 eggs a day. Eggs are our go-to. Seriously, just the best protein, and they cook so fast. But salads for us is kind of one of those things that we like to eat when you just don't feel like cooking with your partner that night.
Yeah.
But the best is, of course, the kiss and make up meals.
That's
after things have calmed down a little bit. That's where we include each of our favorite recipes that we'll make for each other.
Yeah.
When, we want to do something special. And we have a flourless dark chocolate cake with raspberries that you can write I'm sorry on if you want to say something.
Or anything. It could say you're wrong.
Next flourless cake. I told you I was right. I think we have a caller.
I'm always right.
Exactly.
I told you so.
I told you so.
Absolutely. Online when I've got Rasan, who needs some tips because he never cooks for his wife. Rasan, welcome to season. How are you?
Welcome.
I'm great. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. All right, so listen, before we get into, you're looking for tips to cook with the wife. If you don't cook, what do? Do you usually take her out, and where do you go?
Well, we do date night every Thursday night, and we have 6 kids, so it's something that we do as a way to get away from the family, just have some adult conversation, and enjoy one another.
They have a volleyball team or a basketball team and a sub. This is fantastic. This is fantastic.
The oldest 2 are away at college, so we're down to only 4 in the house right now.
Okay.
Right.
Wow, you have breathing room. Only 4.
I think, so the first thing I would tell you when you're cooking for the wife, and maybe Ariel and Ned could chime in here, and Marisol, I mean, we already covered it a little bit. A roast chicken is always an easy bet. It's hard to mess it up.
Right.
Make sure you cook it to 165. Let it rest. That's the biggest thing I would tell you. When you pull it out of the oven, let it rest. Let me explain to you why I say that, right? People always say, what do you mean rest? If you touch something hot, what happens? You pull your arm back, you're tense. Oh, it's so hot. Think about that chicken the entire time it's in the oven. It's having that same feeling. Oh, it's hot. It's tensing up in the oven. The muscles, it's so tense. When it comes out, you want it to rest so those juices go back through it. If you cut it while it's still super hot like that and hasn't rested, it will be tough because all of those juices come flying out of it. And it's tough and not juicy and moist. But letting it rest is key. If you cook her a chicken and let it rest, it'll be absolutely delicious.
Rasan, I understand you told our producer that you can't even be in the kitchen at the same time as your wife.
What?
Is that correct?
Yeah, so I grew up in a family where mom cooked most, but dad was also a very good cook. And my wife and I, when we cook, we never cook together. So even if, she's really good at making vegetables, so I'll make the main course and I'll make the side. And then, I'll step out and she'll, throw the vegetables in to, saute them or cook them up. But we never, ever, ever cook together like what I'm hearing you guys do. So I find that really interesting.
Ned and Ariel, what advice do you have for Rasan and his wife?
Call the right spot for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we really like to kind of have a glass of wine in the kitchen, and we break it out in a similar way, actually, where I do a lot of the vegetables and Ned does a lot of the proteins. But we just set up our stations next to each other, and we chat, and we We do our vegetables, and we invite the kids into the kitchen too. That is a big one, because a lot of times if the kids aren't in the kitchen, then you sometimes have to have somebody watching the kids while you're in the kitchen. And so, then there's one person in the kitchen, one person watching the kids. We try to give Wes and Finn something to do, either eating or or peeling something or something like that.
And I think even when you're in your own kind of divide and conquer, have your own stations going next to each other, you can still find ways to collaborate by saying hey, taste this. What do you think it needs? Do you like this?
Right, exactly.
Is it spicy enough for you?
Rasan, are you buying any of this?
I'm not sure. I think sometimes you make something a certain way and you ask them, do you like it? And they're like, no, maybe you should add. And you're like, no, I'm good. This is what we're having. I was just being nice. I wasn't really asking for advice.
Oh my God.
I didn't actually want feedback.
Listen, Rasan, I think, and Ariel and Ned, you guys, and all of you, I think you all might agree here. I think do something you have a high success rate of being successful with. That's why I stick with that roast chicken. Stay with something that that it's pretty hard to mess it up. I mean, Ned, Ariel, how do you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. And roasts are great because it's going to be in there for a while and you can do other stuff. I mean, the worst is when you're kind of
rushing around.
You're rushing to have it done by a certain time, and you're just making more and more dirty dishes, and kind of like a tornado in the kitchen.
Yeah, if it's a set it and forget it meal, those are the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get through an entire bottle of wine before dinner's even on the table, you probably don't care anyway.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Those are the best meals.
Hey, best of luck, Rasan. We can't wait to hear. We'll have to check back in with you. I want to see how things went.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
Good luck, buddy. Hey, listen, give us a call here, 203-776-9677. We want to hear about your date night meals, your go-to restaurants you go to on a date. We asked on social media if you could recommend some of your favorite restaurants out there. Some of your picks from Twitter at VegB23. That was my band in high school.
Great.
Loves Good News Cafe in Waterbury, a fantastic spot. That wasn't really my band. I was kidding. But Good News Cafe in Waterbury is a fantastic spot as well. And on Facebook, Brendan Bell recommends Grana Arso Restaurant in Chester.
Yes.
Sounds like a winner to me.
And Lisa Lumbolt Beck likes Olia in New Haven.
Let me ask, Ned, Ariel, let me ask you guys this. Do you prefer to go out? Do you prefer to stay home? And if you do go out, do you try to stay away from the food you make at home? Or is it kind of like, hey, we like very simple, easy food?
It really depends. I think lately we've been staying in more and trying to cook meals that are more comforting and more reliable classics. And honestly, sometimes when we go out, we then also want to eat that. But I think we're just in a very cozy vibe lately. But then, when we're traveling, then we really just try all sorts of.
Oh,
Ned is one of those travelers where if we are going someplace we've never been before, he wants to go to a restaurant. He wants to have 2 dinners every night because he wants to go to all the different restaurants that he's heard about.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. And with that, we're going to take a very short break, but don't worry, there's still time to call and share your pick for the state's most romantic restaurant, or to encourage the single folks out there with a story of how you met your love, and perhaps it was while you were reaching for the same watermelon at the bodega. Ooh. I don't know.
Oh, is there a story there?
You're listening to Seasoned, not me. Call us, 203-776-9677. You're listening to Seasoned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Seasoned. Marisol Castro here.
And I'm Chef Plum.
We're live this week with content creators Ned and Ariel Fulmer. They are the fantastic couple behind the Date Night Cookbook.
And of course, we're live, so we're taking your calls, and we want to know what's the ultimate date night at home. Kind of shift gears a little bit. What do you cook when you want to make your partner feel special? If you've got a question or comment, give us a call, 203-776-9677, or if you like the letters, it's 203-776-WNPR. We'll talk with Ned and Ariel, and we'd also love to hear your story about love involving food.
Yes, or if there's a romantical restaurant.
Romantical.
That you absolutely love. For me, it's Millwright's in Simsbury.
Great spot.
Tyler Anderson. Not only is the food super sexy and delicious, the ambiance. There's a waterfall there. He has these igloos out there now.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
And he's a sweetie.
He's such a love.
Yeah.
I love him.
For me, it's got to be Good Old Days Pizza, Newtown.
That's
I'll
a
tell
good
you what,
one.
one of my favorite places in the world to
Yeah.
go. I think pizza makes a great date night, in my opinion. Ned, Ariel, how do you guys feel about that? We talked about your pizza oven, but going out for pizza?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. That when I was thinking of the cozy meals you make at home and also eat when you're going out, I was thinking of pizza.
We do love pizza.
One of our go-tos is like the pizza place around the corner from us.
Was there a pizza place in New Haven that you used to go to?
Oh,
yes.
this hold on.
So many.
There are 3 that we talk about frequently on this program.
Well, that basically made
Oh,
pizza
yeah.
as we know it
So
today.
I
in our
mean, I
country.
don't know if I'm gonna cause conflict here, but I like bar pizza.
Oh,
It's like it's a great pizza. It's a
It
great
is.
pizza, but it's not Sally's, Pepe's, or Modern.
or modern, but it's fine.
Yeah.
We can still continue this
That
conversation.
was okay. Like, I'm
It's
not
fine.
mad about that.
It's totally fine.
Ned, Ariel, we talked
It's also been a while.
we talked about date night, your Wednesday date nights, and you mentioned about having the kids in the kitchen. But what do you do on those date nights when you don't want to have the kids in the kitchen? How do you make those date nights fun and special without having to worry about, making dinosaur nuggets for the little
A lot of times it's really just about the ambiance and your attitude towards it, just kind of knowing that this is date night and even if the kids are there, it's kind of like, no, we're having our connecting time right now. And, we're just sort of enjoying each other's company rather than thinking about homework and school stuff and, just all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But physically, where are the children? What do we do with them? We can't just tie
They
them.
tie them with chicken wire.
They use butcher's twine.
If they're old enough that they can enjoy screen time, that might be
Yeah.
part of what they're doing. Or it's like having a really awesome activity outside that can occupy their attention. I think unless you are having
A babysitter or something.
over at the same time, you are having one eye open to see, are the kids okay? But I think it's more about like maybe we can have a glass of wine, just us, and they're relatively occupied. We have a kind of an open concept type of kitchen where we can be cooking and definitely keep an eye on the backyard, the TV area, and the playroom, like kind of all at the same time.
And the
right?
boys have like learning stools that they can, climb up and kind of be involved as well.
I love
Which
it.
is actually really nice. And, and they go to bed early, of course. So
Well,
you can't forget that
That's
part.
always an option
Fantastic.
as well.
But I also think that I also have 2 boys, and for me, it's important that our children, our offspring, see their parents doing things that are lovely because
Absolutely.
we're modeling for them.
Yeah.
So even though
Exactly.
I may want
Yeah.
my children to get the heck out of my hair, I want them to see,
Sure.
Mommy and Josh love each other and they're cooking, and she may have a meat cleaver in her hands and it's at his jugular, but she really does love him. No, I'm kidding.
But she smacked it sideways with it. It wasn't with the blade. It was nice.
No, but I think this is a modern American family. I want to pivot though to your Netflix and chili recipe because we have that on our website and it sounds so fantastic. What is happening there? It's in your commitment chapter.
Yeah. Well, we love a good soup. Just something where you can like set it into a Dutch oven or something and just really let it go. But our chili it's made with chicken instead of the usual like ground beef or something like that. And so it's much lighter than say a typical chili that you would get. Yeah, we just love having soup around. And it makes leftovers for days.
Mm-hmm.
What made you?
And we
make
just
that
couldn't
jump and
resist
go-
the name.
What made you guys decide to use chicken? I mean, that's a switch for sure.
It really comes down to dietary restrictions in our family. Ariel doesn't eat
Ariel doesn't
beef
eat
or
meat.
ground pork, so we've tried some versions with ground turkey, and that's fine too. But the chicken really takes it in a different direction, and it's less traditional. But yeah, it's a little bit lighter and works really well with all of the fresh bell peppers and yummy veggies.
That's fantastic. And then you wash that down with a chocolate souffle. Tell us about that.
Yes. Chocolate souffle. That was one of our first big challenges
We're gonna
that we
challenge
took on.
ourselves.
Yeah.
You gotta be on top of your game.
Ned and I were in the kitchen one day and we were like, let's try something new. Let's try something fun,
Mhm.
and we made a souffle and it turned out remarkably well for being our first time. And we've just perfected it since. You know, you really gotta butter those dishes and whip the egg whites. And then I mean, my number one tip for souffle is serve immediately because they will fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Another trick with souffles, too, I used to do. I would always heat the souffle dishes up just a touch in the oven before I pour stuff in there. Because it makes the butter easily to spread around inside the dish. And that chili recipe, you guys, is on our website, ctpublic.org/recipes. And, of course, if you want the chocolate souffle, check out the book. It's on page 186. I love souffles. I think they're really delicious, and they can be very, very sexy if you make them the right way.
Yes, and speaking of sexy, look at their picture.
Let me see
I'm
this.
on page 186, 187, and you guys are in your You're in your Sunday finest. They're in a whole black and white situation.
Wow.
I love this.
That's one to start after the kids go to bed.
That's hysterical.
For sure.
Well, listen, as a married couple, Ned and Ariel avoid relationship ruts by making sure they don't get into food ruts. And this is great advice. Can you guys talk about how you've changed up some of the date nights by exploring cuisines you're not so familiar with the foods that you might have grew up eating?
Absolutely. You know, like I said, we love experimenting with different flavors and trying out new things. I think we went through a Thai cooking phase where we went to the Thai market and bought an entire shelf worth of things. The rice noodles and pad Thai, pad see ew type of dishes take a fair amount of time to perfect. That first try did not go so well, but curries are very easy to get on board with and use some curry paste. One of the most recent things we discovered was using different types of protein. So we have a recipe in the book for halloumi fajitas, which you might typically have chicken or beef, but halloumi is a harder cheese that has kind of a bite to it and it adds a little salty flavor, and it's really good in a fajita dish.
Or cauliflower steaks. We were looking for something to put on the grill that, you know, maybe some of our vegetarian friends could eat or something like that. And if you just chop a cauliflower and, you know, you don't really worry about the little trees, you just cut the thing down the middle, you get these nice slices that you can then put on the grill, and it makes the nice char marks and a really beautiful dish.
I love it.
Let me ask you guys something. Listen to you talk about this food. It just got my brain turning. The hamster wheel's spinning, Marisol. Can you see it?
I see it. I see it. I see it.
Does anybody ever say, hey, Ned and Ariel, you guys are so great at date night. I want to have a date night at your house. So can I bring my wife over and you guys can kind of just talk us through this?
I think they call that a dinner party. Oh, you mean for Ned and Ariel to teach them?
Yeah.
I like this concept.
They work with them kind of
I like this idea. Okay, go.
Like our friend Rasan who called needed help. We could have him come to their house.
This is what I'm talking about.
Right, and he could learn something and they could show a couple of things.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Have Rasan over for a double date.
Yeah,
I love
double
this.
date night.
Yep.
That could be awesome. Now, also, there's some dishes in the book about meeting parents and first holidays together. Can we talk about some of those? And what was the first dish that you guys did when you were meeting each other's parents?
Oh, well, Ned was talking about the
pecan stuffed pork loin.
Delicious.
That was a dish that he made for my dad.
Yeah.
Because I told him sort of offhand, I was like, well, my dad really likes, he likes pork loin, he
and
likes
I
this,
never
he likes
made it before. I had hardly ever even had it. I made that at a restaurant, but it wasn't really something that we had to eat growing up. So all of a sudden, I'm like so nervous. I'm going to meet her dad for the first time. I do all this research and try and figure out how to make pork loin. I think I made a bacon wrapped one, which was even more just super decadent.
Let's go.
But when I picked her dad up, I had just had a job interview.
Oh.
So I was very I was wearing a suit. I was looking very good. And I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to be dressed to impress. And he made a joke that I'm a chauffeur. And I was like, oh no. I did sort of look like a chauffeur.
No.
But we had a good time, About an hour-long drive from the airport, you definitely can get to know each other pretty quickly.
Oh, my goodness.
Trapped in a car for an hour.
Yeah.
But you must have done something right, because here you are.
Right.
10
Still
years
here.
later,
That's right.
right? When you think back at making this cookbook and all the stuff that you've created together, is there one recipe or one dish that really resonates and says, you know what, this dish really symbolizes Ned and Ariel? And if so, what is it?
It's got to be pasta. It's got to be pasta. Pasta is such a huge part of our diet. I mean, we have a toddler, of course, so it's pasta all the time. But I feel like spaghetti and meatballs is a really that's one of our comfort foods. It's also one of those foods that we switch up all the time. We make vegetarian meatballs. We make turkey meatballs. Recently, we have been making different sauces to go on pasta. Mm-hmm. You're thinking about one right now. Ned's looking at me like, I've got one.
Yeah.
Which one?
The very last recipe in our book is the spaghetti with creamy poblano. It's a little bit spicy, but it's also really creamy and just very decadent, delicious. And it's kind of like, I feel like it's full circle from our very first meal that we shared together, which is when I tried to make just chicken corn salsa on a cold tortilla for Ariel, which was not a very good dish. I didn't know how to cook at all, but it was romantic because we were doing it for each other.
Well, I want to get a couple of those last shout-outs before we end the show today. Yeah. We've got we asked on social media for you to recommend some of your favorite romantic restaurants, and some of our picks were from our own Dr. Kalia Brown-Dean. She says Union League in New Haven is spectacular. And, of course, Olia in New Haven on Facebook from Lisa Lomont-Beck.
Yes. Carbones gets a shout-out from Chef Bill Ostrowski. He's the general manager of dining services at the University of Bridgeport.
Well, listen, I feel like I've got some tips here that I can have a date night at my house. And hopefully, maybe my wife won't go to bed so early.
I mean, we could all wish. Ned and Ariel, it was such a pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished, including but not limited to this fantastic cookbook, the Date Night Cookbook. Ned and Ariel Fulmer from the Try Guys. Wonderful talking to you.
Are we going to get a part 2 of this book?
That's a really good question.
We're thinking about making a family night cookbook. That's all recipes for 4.
Yeah, we've been we're always writing down recipes. So by the time that we have enough for a second cookbook, maybe it'll be time.
It feels right to me.
Or maybe a cocktail book. How about that?
Yeah, I like it. Ned and Ariel Fulmer are content creators on YouTube and host the online cooking show Date Night. They wrote a book together. It's called The Date Night Cookbook.
Season is produced by Hopeless Romantics, Robyn Doyon-Aitken and Catie Talarski. I'm Chef Plum.
And I'm Marisol Castro. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a fantastic week.
It's date night time.